Welcome to the Ann Arbor Public Schools Superintendent Update for the week of August 3rd. Superintendent Jeanice Swift and I are going to talk about the enrollment form families will be receiving in the coming days and some of the pressing questions and concerns about the start of the 2020-21 school year, which have been raised in the last week or two. Welcome, Dr. Swift.
Well, good afternoon, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's exciting. We've got schools coming up. A lot of people are really turning their thoughts to school, and we know that there's a lot of questions. And I think we should probably start off right away with the enrollment form that parents and guardians will be receiving from the Ann Arbor Public Schools and K-12 Insight in the coming days. Can you talk about sort of what are the questions we're asking for families to consider at this time?
Well, thank you, Andrew. We're so excited to put together a package of programs, and really, as we've said, back since last March, to meet our children and families as best we can, to meet them where they are and to meet their needs for learning. So we put together 3 program options, 3 general options, and these will be the choices in the enrollment form that our families will be receiving later this week. What's common about all of our program choices for the fall of 2020 is that they will feature quality Ann Arbor Public Schools teachers, our rich curricula and wide offering of programs, and they will be, Andrew, interactive on a live teacher to student to classroom basis. We're offering 3 options for our parents, and so let's maybe walk through those now, beginning with A2 Student Link. This choice is one for those parents and students who are choosing to begin the year virtually and they would like to remain virtual throughout the fall semester. So this choice really is about a student being a member of a virtual classroom connected, linked to the student's school. So A2 Student Link, students will be together, affiliated with their school, and their teacher and their classroom intend to remain virtual throughout the fall. The second program is A2 Classroom Connect, is for those students and families. We're all beginning virtually, of course, on September the 8th, but this second choice is designed for those families who intend and plan to come back to in-person schooling just as soon as the data gives us an opportunity to reopen our school buildings. The A2 Classroom Connect is also connected right to the students' school of enrollment, and yet these classrooms are grouped for those students who intend to return. I do want to point out that if folks choose the Classroom Connect and for any reason they want to remain virtual at any time through the year, we are building that in to this plan. So, Andrew, we talked last week about what if a case is identified in the classroom or the school. We'll be fully prepared in these A2 Classroom Connect classes to move in and out of virtual and in-person as needed through the year. Now, the third choice is A2 Virtual Academy. Andrew, this is a very different approach. It still is our AAPS quality, AAPS teachers and curricula, but it does involve an independent, self-paced work environment. The student receives regular feedback, written feedback from the teacher. There is a connection about once a week with the teacher, but this A2 Virtual Academy is an independent, self-paced learning option. And Andrew, we added the elementary version of this for families that we heard from who said they really preferred not being interactive or live on a screen. So we do have this option now. all the way down to lower elementary. So it's PK through 12. A2 virtual is that independent learning opportunity.
Sounds like we've got some real good options. I think obviously the A2 Classroom Connect, that's the choice for families and students that want to get back in the classroom as soon as possible. If it's a family that's made the decision that no, they're a little bit more cautious and want to stay at home and stay virtual, what types of things should they be considering when they're considering whether they go with the A2 Student Link versus when they want to go to A2 Virtual Academy? What's sort of the difference for families to be thinking about?
I really appreciate you asking that question. We believe that A2 Student Link is probably a good choice for students who like to engage with a group of learners. So they're going to be in their learning environment with a group of learners. Whereas that A2 Virtual is a student that's learning independently. So that's one of the key differences, is that student as a part of a classroom, which is true of A2 Student Link and A2 Classroom Connect, and then that student who prefers to pace themselves and do their work more independently.
Sounds great. This is the AAPS Reimagine Learning update from Superintendent Swift for the week of August 3rd. And we've talked about the 3 learning program choices that families will be making the decisions to where they want to register. But there's some other questions on the form that they're going to be getting. Again, that's going to come as an email from Ann Arbor Public Schools and K-12 Insight. One of those questions is about whether or not they think that they might be a good choice for the Connections Plus program. Can you talk about what Connections is, what the goal is, and who's going to be eligible to participate?
Thank you. I'm really excited for us to convene a network of very small student support groups across our community. And I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to all of our community partners. We've received email from so many folks wanting to be a part of these network of very small groups of students. This is for students for whom learning virtually presents the greatest challenge. And you know, Andrew, that might be due to a variety of reasons. It could be as a result of particular learning profile or learning challenges. It could be about a family situation that the child needs to be at a location where they can receive support with their virtual learning. It could be about being a second language learner or any variety of needs. But in order to keep with the governor's guideline of fewer than 10 people convening, these will be small groups, so maybe 5 or 6 students and a staff member or 2 from our community center, our community partners, and then also an AAPS staff member. The goal of the Connections Plus is to support students 2 ways. First, in accessing their virtual classroom. So they're going to be attending their virtual classroom just like everybody else is, and we'll support them with that in these groups. Secondly, to ensure that the student has wraparound supports during this time of virtual learning. So whether that looks like additional mental health supports or food and nutrition supports or basic necessities or any number of things, this will be an opportunity alongside our community partners for us to extend that outreach and support. You know, Andrew, we were inspired by the stories that we read about families of means creating groups where their children could have support with learning virtually. And we took that vision and said, what if we offered that for our students who have the greatest needs in Ann Arbor? So, Andrew, on this enrollment registration form that our parents will receive later this week, we are asking folks to identify themselves if they feel like their student would really need this level of support. We also, through our social workers, through our McKinney-Vento homeless liaison, through our principals, through our teachers, through our community partners, we also have a tremendous list of students that we know we want to offer this concierge service to first. And so we're excited to be able to offer that extra level of support. Now, we are going to work to have these be face-to-face as we're able to with phase 4 of the governor's reopen. But we want to make sure our students are ready with virtual learning just in case we were to have to roll back to phase 3. Our students will be able to continue their connections plus support group virtually if that's needed.
All right, that sounds like a great program. And again, a reminder that that question and most of the questions on the survey, other than the choice A, B, or C of A2 Student Link, A2 Classroom Connect, or A2 Virtual Plus Academy, that one is a registration. The other one is more of a way for us to collect the feedback, and then we'll be reaching back out to you about that question. And then I know that there's another question on the form specifically for students in grades 6 through 12, and that's if they want to take a class through A2 Virtual while they're doing either other classes with A2 Virtual or through one of the other choices. Can you talk about sort of what that opportunity is to either replace a class or maybe add on a class? What are we talking about on that option?
So for several years, we've offered our A2 Virtual, and that's for students in grades 5 through 12. And our parents, and in fact, if folks check this on the registration form, we will be sharing additional information right away. And this is an opportunity for a student to accelerate beyond their grade level. Maybe they want to take a math or a science class. It's an opportunity for secondary students to pick up an additional class. Our students often will want to add credits or get an extra course in, and we will meet them and will provide that. So our A2 Virtual is an opportunity for those students and families who are interested in a little bit more. It also, for high school students, will work that perhaps they want to take 1 or 2 of their regular class load through A2 Virtual as opposed to through Classroom Connect or A2 Student Link. And we absolutely can work with them on that, as we've done for several years now.
Great, and that one, they'll be getting, if they check that they want that, they'll be getting some more communication. Yes. And actually, I think anyone who chooses the A2 Virtual, even if they choose that as their primary one, there'll be some more communication specifically from that program coming to them once they've made that selection.
That's right.
Wanted to get to just the last question on the enrollment registration form, and that one's really for planning purposes regarding when families might feel comfortable returning to school. Can you sort of talk about what that what the purpose is of us asking that question?
Well, you know, Andrew, we are planning and preparing now. We have teams working in our buildings, focused on the physical plant, getting our air filtration systems, getting all the systems ready. And as soon as we are able to, we look forward to beginning to transition in a phased process, groups of students into our face-to-face school buildings for instruction. We would begin with the youngest students and with those students who have the greatest needs first, and we will monitor that data as we go. So that question number 4 on the registration form coming this week is simply asking, in your family, do you prefer to be among the earliest to get into our buildings, or where are you along that spectrum? So I think, Andrew, we give about 5 options, and from we want to be first in the first group all the way to we don't plan to return physically this year. So all along the spectrum, and we know that every one of us is working with the information that we currently have. So that last question is not a binding choice by any means, but it helps us to begin to plan at elementary, at middle, and at high school as we're looking ahead to the fall, into the winter, as to how we can meet our students and families where they are and enter our students just as soon as we're able to do so.
We've talked quite a bit about this enrollment form that families are going to get from the Ann Arbor Public Schools and K-12 Insight. It's good to know that they've got a better sense now of what they're receiving and sort of what we're going to be asking of them. So that I'm glad we were able to share that information. But we know that there's so many other big questions that families have had, and something that we've heard about a lot from many families, concern about how long children, especially some of the youngest children, will be sitting in front of computer screens while we're doing the virtual learning. How flexible can students be with their schedule?
Well, Andrew, we've heard from our parents, and I just want to thank our parents who've emailed. We have literally thousands of emails. We're not able to respond individually to every one, but we do read them. And we take all of this input and feedback. And so we heard loud and clear that a number of our parents want more flexibility, particularly in that elementary school day. So we will be offering more of an approach, and we will have that schedule, a sample schedule published very soon of how that flexible day will look. And what we're understanding is that we have moved, we've been working for this previous week, we've moved the core academics to be completed for elementary students between 8:30 and 1:20 on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Now, remember, the 8:30 to 1:20, just like it is at school, each of those blocks might begin with the teacher and the students interacting in a direct lesson. But then just like in in-person school, they'll move to a more independent work time. That could be an assignment to complete. It could be an activity to do. So I want to be clear that those hours between 8:30 and 1:20 are not just sitting and directly looking at a screen. They'll be interactive, but pacing in and out through that time based on the child's level of development, their developmental level, their age. But we will wrap up by 1:20. Now that 1:20 time frame to 3:20 time frame will be a lot of opportunities. So reading intervention, advanced reading groups, specials, it might be choir, it might be physical activity, but there will be a wide array of activities planned for the afternoons. But for folks who really, because of their family situation, they really want to be finished and logged off shortly after lunch, we have that day designed. Now, Andrew, for those folks that we're hearing from who really don't want to be interactive at all, I would just point out that's more of the A2 virtual. Is in that program, there's not an expectation to be interactive every day. So.
But for a family that, say, one day a week, morning isn't going to work for them, they will have the opportunity, it won't be synchronous at this point, but they'd have the opportunity to watch, the portion that had been synchronous earlier in the day. They'd be able to watch by themselves at 5 o'clock or whenever it was convenient for them.
Exactly. So the Schoology platform will record the class lesson, And what's beautiful about it is that may be accessed on demand 24/7. So we already have heard from parents who may use that to help the student who may be struggling with a particular concept, that they could rewatch the class. It would be excellent if there's illness or a schedule change at home. Our students and families will be able to access their learning on demand as well as in the synchronous schedule.
So we're offering flexibility in a couple of ways. That's great to hear. Dr. Swift is sharing her update on the Reimagine Learning plan for the week of August 3rd. We're talking about some of the big questions. And an area that's, of course, always leading to a lot of questions are what sort of supports and additional efforts are being made to help reach out and support the students with the special needs. It's a whole host of needs, but what type of things are Ann Arbor Public Schools going to offer for students that have some special needs?
Well, Andrew, I'm really proud of our team of service providers. They worked throughout this summer to really give our students additional support. We had over 500 students who have IEPs, individual education plans, receiving services over the summer. We are providing those virtually, but we do have the platform, we have the tools to be able to meet student need. I will point out that in that block day, about 3 blocks per day, and then a morning meeting for every student at every grade level, we do have that second half of the block ready for that teacher consultant, that special provider to just plug in and to give the students the support that they would have right at school. So we are looking at service provision, very not terribly different from what we do face-to-face at school. It is delivered virtually. I do know that we're hearing from many parents of special needs students who would like to be among the first to phase and transition back into our buildings. And Andrew, we are looking at that phased approach to have our students in first for whom accessing virtual learning is the most challenging.
Okay, so we've got some plans here to offer some extra supports. That's great to hear. Many parents have also expressed concerns just in general about what online learning is going to look like this fall. Obviously, I don't think any of us were really happy with how online learning worked in the spring. How will it be different this fall in the Ann Arbor Public Schools?
I so appreciate you asking that question, and certainly in the Ann Arbor Public Schools and across the country, our educators did a valiant job in the spring, recreating their classrooms virtually, literally very quickly, and they conducted that asynchronous instruction. But Andrew, what we're looking at for fall virtual learning is very, very different. I want to give a shout out to the 350 of our Ann Arbor Public Schools teachers and our more than 5,000 Ann Arbor Public Schools students who participated in summer learning sessions this summer. We just wrapped up last Friday and we used a lot of the new tools. So the new tools that are learning platforms that allow us to meet students in a group, to be interactive, to have the videos and the assignments and the grades and the attendance all in one location. You know, we heard from parents who were receiving, if they had a few children, they were receiving many, many emails a day last spring. We'll be able to have all of that located in a one-stop kind of shop so that our parents and our students and our teachers will have a much better platform for interactive, our AAPS curricula. Our curricula writers, our teacher teams have been working to redesign 2021 curricula so it dates back to mid-March to make sure that our students are fully prepared and that they're catching up and keeping up and moving up as we move into the 2021 school year.
Okay. We've handled a couple of the questions, but there are so many more questions that still remain. How can the community reach out if they have other additional questions for families and students? Where can they share those concerns?
Well, I just want to give a shout out and thank you to our PTO council group. And they've sent, I think yesterday received 22 pages of input and feedback from parents all over the district. We've received thousands of emails. We read every bit of the input and feedback that we get. And Andrew, I know we're going to put an email address in our message coming out, and you may know what that is. But we invite parents, give us your input and feedback. We are adjusting this plan week by week to attend to our student and our parents and our family and our community needs. You know, moving through this pandemic is not just a school endeavor, it's a community endeavor. And I just want to thank all of our partners and our parents. We passed 420,000 meals distributed. We've distributed basic necessities, more than 5,000 tech devices so that our students had technology to use. We've just placed an order for new technology because it is going to be important, Andrew, this fall that our students have newer devices so that their devices are fully customized and loaded up with all the applications for that grade level. So we are working to get all of that ready. And that week of August 31st, parents and students will be able to pick up, those devices and school materials so that we're ready on September 8th for our launch of the school year.
And families I'll clarify, families can send in an email if they have a question or a concern, a2schools@a2schools.org. And that way we can receive it all in one location. We're not necessarily going to get an email back to you. If it's a more personalized type question, probably reaching out to your school will be the best option as we're going forward and getting closer to the start of the school year. But if you have just a general question or comment or concern about the Back to Schools plan, it's a2schools@a2schools.org.
And why don't you, Andrew, cover the frequently asked questions, which from those emails we're adding to our list of frequently asked questions every week. So those are on the website?
Yes, those are on the website. It's the top headline if you go to the main page, a2schools.org. And that takes you to the Reimagine Learning updates. And right at the top, when you click on that page, is the link to the frequently asked questions. And you can see some of the ones that we've answered so far. And we'll be adding more, as Dr. Swift mentioned, as we get some more answers and are getting a little bit closer to the start of the school year.
I do want to preview, Andrew, that we know that many parents are reaching out because they're concerned about choosing the right program. And we completely understand that. And so over the coming week, we will be highlighting a special superintendent update at each level. So that will give our parents an opportunity to dive into elementary and what is it going to look like at elementary, and then to middle, and then to high school. So I just want to preview that that's coming up within the next week or so. And then also following that, just like we do every year, there will be the back to school meetings at the schools. Of course, this year they will occur virtually so that we're all healthy and safe. But those back to school meetings will be where where parents and students will get more specific information about their grade level and their classroom and what to expect over the coming days as we launch this school year.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Dr. Swift. We'll be back next week with another update on back-to-school planning for the 2020-21 year in the Ann Arbor Public Schools. And I want to leave with one more reminder. You should be on the lookout for an email from Ann Arbor Public Schools and K-12 Insight, where you will register for the program you want and answer a few more survey questions after that. And responses are due by August 12th. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Andrew. I just want to thank our parents, our students, our staff, and our community. This has been a tremendous time for everyone involved, and we just so appreciate the outreach and the support and the partnership. We've said from the beginning that this will be a time about connections, about care and compassion, and about community. I just want to thank everyone for being members of this community. We welcome your questions and your concerns, and we'll just keep on keeping on every week to provide as much clarity as we possibly can. Thank you.